Bum, 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 bum. Welcome back, my friends. This is BjjBrick Quick. My name is Byron. We're adding some pressure today. We've been talking about pressure in jiu-jitsu. Pressure is your ride to your submission. It's how you're going to get there. Sometimes. I guess I don't need to put absolutes here. But I don't know how many times pressure has been the direct access to get me tapped out. It's a great tool. It's like the trick that they know that's happening, but they don't want anything to do with it anyway. So by applying that good pressure, so you can go back and listen to the episode a few times about when I experienced my first real pressure with Renato Tavares, or how to apply the pressure to the rib cage. And by doing these things, people have to react in a certain way because they get desperate. And so if it's just hard for me to actually expand my lungs and breathe, I'm going to make mistakes. And if you do this a few times and you look at what's around, you'll find that they might bridge or move their head in a way that opens up their neck. They might turn in a way that opens up their back. Their arms might be pushed out of position in a desperate attempt to get just a little bit of space. I guess something I should say here that I didn't say this week. Any space. So if there's enough space between my rib cage and your rib cage to put a piece of paper and have it kind of move, like so there's actually space between us, zero pressure. So it's like lift your foot off the floor. If you lift your foot enough to slide a piece of paper underneath your foot, there's no pressure there. I'm getting off topic here, but you when somebody buys a tiny bit of space, even if it's that small, the pressure goes away. So it's got to be that constant crushing pressure to find a submission out of your opponent doing something that they probably shouldn't do, and they can know that they shouldn't do this as well. What options do they have? They're in a bad spot. You are applying the pressure. So I just invite you, without going into, I think I did quite a bit of explaining the details behind the technique a couple episodes back when I talked about the compression balloon and applying pressure like a balloon, like to a balloon. So I'm not going to go into all these details about how to do a submission with pressure. But if you're there and you're applying pressure, there will be things that they do that are just flat out mistakes. And I know this is a great tool. It works on, I don't say everybody. It works on me all the time either. I'm pretty good about avoiding pressure from my training partners. I frame up and I work to get my legs back in the game, I guess. But from a dominant position, applying pressure is your ride to a submission. And you could apply pressure from several, like side control, mount, the back. Man, you could apply, I didn't even talk about this, you could apply a ton of pressure from your opponent's back. It's very distracting. And you want to do it in a way that isn't gassing out your legs either. There's some definite finesse or skill behind it, but having that pressure applied to your opponent from the back without exhausting yourself and will oftentimes open up their neck for the choke that you're hoping to get anyway. So guys, just think of that as you experiment with pressure, and also if you're a victim of pressure, someone's applying a lot of pressure to you, there's probably an end in sight. It's probably a submission. So if you can't weasel your way out of it, you're in quite a bit of trouble, not just the discomfort of the pressure. And as dumb or silly as it sounds, wiggling is an actual way to relieve pressure, and it just gets you that small amount of space that lets you breathe again. It doesn't solve your problem; you're not out of it, but it may help you reduce kind of that panic or that claustrophobic feeling just by wiggle, and try to get a little bit of space. Sometimes that's a big deal. If you're able to stay calm and work your way out without getting caught in a submission you know how to avoid. Hope you've enjoyed the podcast. If you want to support the show, go to patreon.com. Type in BjjBrick. It'll pop right up. I just talked about last episode. If we get to $100 a month of Patreon support, I'll do an episode every day of the week. That's the goal. And really appreciate your support. You get to affect how the show is made and I guess how frequently it's made as well. I'll no longer have weekends off. I'll just sit down I batch. I record 5 at a time, and I'll record 7 at a time, and I'll get you going all the way, through the whole month. No interruptions, no holidays, I hope. That's the plan anyway. I appreciate your support, my friends, and stay sweaty.